Hello, Presidents. Our final video is going to be on one of those topics that we probably all know about. Hopefully, this is probably going to be a review for you, but if it's not, it's okay. Today's video is about parliamentary procedure. So, as President, your job is to lead the meetings. And to do that, in the FFA, we use parliamentary procedure. Specifically Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. So I want you to know this right off the bat. You do not have to be the leader of a national winning parliamentary procedure team to be good at parliamentary procedure. Okay? You do not have to have any kind of accolades in parliamentary procedure in order to make this happen. You can be successful with just a very few tips and with some studying on your own. Okay, so today we're just going to talk about the basics, very cut and dry. We're going to talk about a motion, seconds, debate, and voting, and then how to adjourn. So again, very, very basic. I am going to post over in Google Classroom the table that I'm sure several of you are probably familiar with that has the different abilities and if they're amendable and debatable and need a second. I'll post that there for you to use as reference if you need it. But today, again, I just want to focus on the pieces that will help you to make it through a meeting and to lead it effectively. Okay, so the most basic piece of parliamentary procedure is the motion. All right, so in your meeting, you will have an item of business. Okay, so let's say the item of business is that our chapter attends the FFA Leadership Training Center. Okay, so in the meeting, you will ask the secretary that's keeping the agenda, Mr. or Madam Secretary, what is our first item of business? And they will say, attending the Kentucky FFA Leadership Training Center. Okay, so as president, you put that on the floor. That allows for members to have a chance to talk about it. Once that item of business is on the floor, then a member has to move a motion in order for us to be able to discuss that. So to do that, a member would stand and you would call on that member and they would say, Mr. or Madam President, I move that our chapter attend the Kentucky FFA Leadership Training Center. Okay, that is a motion. So a motion has to say, I move. And basically what it means is that one person in this entire room wants to talk about this item of business, that they feel that it's important that we talk about it. Okay? In order to discuss an item of business, there has to be a motion on the floor for you to be able to talk about it. Okay? So your first job in running that meeting is to get that motion on the floor. Okay? Next, all these regular motions, okay, these simple motions require a second. Okay, so in a meeting, once that motion is made, all somebody has to do is say second. Okay, what second means is that now at least two people feel that it's worth us spending time talking about in our meeting. So you can actually then spend time discussing it. Okay. If you don't have a second, basically that says there's one person in this whole room that feels like it's important that we do this item of business. So everybody else then would have voted no, so we're not going to talk about it. But with a second, okay, now two people feel like it's something we should at least discuss, and so you can bring it up for debate. Okay? To do that, you would say, the motion has been properly made by Joe and seconded by Suzanne that we attend the Kentucky FFA Leadership Training Center. is there any debate? All right. So when you ask, is there any debate, you have opened up for all of the members to ask for a chance to share their opinion with the group. Okay. So who is supposed to be called on first? Okay. I know that everybody's Parley sensors are going off right now. The person that gets the right to debate first is the one that made the motion. So in this case, we would call on Joe. Joe, since you have made the motion, you have the right to the floor first. So Joe would stand up, he would make his debate, and then sit back down. At that point, anybody else can stand up. You, as the president, decides who should have the floor next. You call on that person, and they share their opinion. Now, one important note about a president in a meeting is that a president is what's called ex officio. That means they do not cast a vote, except for one situation. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But also, you don't share your opinion from the chair. Okay? So as president, you allow other people to speak, but as long as you have the chair, you cannot share your opinion with the group. Okay? So once debate has died down, once everybody has had a chance to be able to debate that motion, then you'll ask for a vote. So you'll ask, is there any further debate? Seeing none, we shall now proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion that we go to camp, say aye. Okay. All opposed, say no. And then as president, you're going to judge, was the ayes lower or were the ayes louder or were the noes louder? And then whichever was louder, that's who wins the vote. Because in a voice vote, like what we just took there, it's all based on volume. Okay. One thing that a member may try to throw out is something called division. So we all know those people in our chapter that are just naturally loud. They talk really loud. And so when a member calls division, then what that means is that we have taken a voice vote. It sounded kind of close, but you, as the president, made a ruling that it either passed or failed. So by calling division, they want you to revote by counting. Okay, so if that's the case, you'd say division has been called for. We shall now proceed to revote. You would have all the members raise their hand or stand up and actually count how many members there were and have a counted vote. Okay, so you could do a voice vote. You could do a counted vote. All right. Another form, some motions require a 2/3 majority vote to pass. That means 2/3 of the people have to vote for or against this to either pass or fail it. So with a 2/3 vote, obviously we have to count members, so we have to use that counted vote. Okay, now remember earlier I said there's one instance that the president can actually cast a vote, and that is if the vote is tied. Okay, so if the vote is tied between the fors and the against, the president actually can pass the deciding vote that would then, set the winning side. If it's not tied, then the president does not cast their vote and just simply announces the will of the chapter and goes on. Okay, so basics. The motion brings it onto the floor. The second says, okay, somebody else wants to talk about it. We debate. So we let everybody talk that wants a chance to speak, and then we vote. Okay? At that point, once we're done voting, we ask the secretary if there's another item of business. If there is, we go through the process again. If there's not, then we will ask for a motion to adjourn. Some member will say, get called on, I move to adjourn this meeting. It will be seconded, and then that is non-debatable, and you vote on it. If it passes, then the meeting stands adjourned. Okay? So again, I know that's very basic. But it's important as you're running a meeting to understand the very bare bones of how a meeting is run using parliamentary procedure. Okay, another thing that I'd like just to mention is the order of a meeting. So when you're setting up a meeting, there is a natural order on how things go. And I'm just going to go through these kind of quick. So again, you can pause the video and you can come back to it to see the order these go in. So 12 things that are part of a meeting. Now, not every meeting will have all 12 things, and that is fine, okay? But these are the 12 possible things that could be in a meeting and the order they go in. So we've got opening ceremonies. We've got reading and approval of minutes. So minutes, again, are the record from the previous meeting. We have officer and committee reports. We have special committee reports. So, for example, McCracken County does the Fall on the Farm every fall. So maybe we have a Fall on the Farm committee. They would present during the special committee. Okay. Then if we have special orders, so special orders would be things that, we have sent out notification that we're going to take care of this at our meeting. So those would be special orders. Unfinished business is number 6. Maybe that's something we laid on the table at the last meeting or didn't have a chance to get to. That's unfinished business. Then we have new business. Then number 8 would be special features. Special features would be things like if we have a guest speaker that's coming to talk to us. Number 9 would be any kind of ceremony other than closing ceremony. So if we had a green hand degree, a chapter degree, honorary degree, those would go in at number 9. Number 10 are any announcements that need to be made. Number 11, closing ceremonies. And then number 12, any kind of refreshments or entertainment or things that go on after the meeting. Okay, so as president, your job is to figure out where business needs to go in that meeting so that your regular meetings are run effectively. Last thing before we close this video would be how you use the gavel. Okay, so there are multiple ways to use the gavel, and it's used as a signal that helps to run the meeting that you are leading. Okay, so let's say you do one tap of the gavel. So one tap. That one tap means that maybe you have passed or failed a motion. It could mean that the meeting is now adjourned, or it could mean for everybody to be seated. Okay, so again, that's one tap of the gavel. 2 taps of the gavel. So 2 taps means the meeting has come to order. That means everybody needs to pay attention and be ready to go. 3 taps of the gavel, which is 1, 2, 3, is that everybody should stand in unison or stand together. One thing that we like to do while we're training for parliamentary procedure chapter meeting team is parley exercises. 3 taps you stand, 1 tap you sit down. Get the blood flowing there. And then finally, you can do the Judge Judy multiple taps. And that is you're trying to get everybody's attention to restore order back to the meeting so that you can continue. Okay, so the gavel is your tool as president to control the pacing of the meeting and to keep everybody on track. All right, so again, I know that was brief. In 14 minutes here, we have talked about parliamentary procedure. We could go on and on and on about parliamentary procedure. I know many of you are probably on a very successful